Okay, so I am back with another video, obviously. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Imani. If you're not new, then welcome back. The whole point of this channel is to really just share things related to mental health. So recently, I've been doing more videos that are geared for people who are interested in becoming counselors. So like review videos, talking about different licensing exams, the process of becoming a licensed counselor. And today I'm going to be kind of sharing resources and just resources in general that I use as a therapist, things that I use with my clients, things that I've used in person on telehealth, different books that I've gotten like interventions from, and kind of like rating some of the things that I've used, because there is so much information out there and there are so many different books and websites and things in general that it can feel kind of overwhelming when trying to find resources. And that's something that I've struggled with, which is probably why I've gotten so many different things. Some of these things I bought, some of these things I've gotten from work, some of these things are free online. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it and start sharing some of the different things that I've used so far. And it's kind of a lot. So let me grab my books, because I'm going to start with the books. Okay, I'm going to start with the ones that I found to be the most helpful. So this one is one of the books I got from one of my previous jobs, a coping skills workbook for kids. So this was really helpful when I was working with like younger kids. It has things like, where do I feel, different feelings in my body, what am I experiencing, understanding triggers, physical coping skills, distracting coping skills, calming techniques, breathing strategies. Like, this book had a lot of really helpful kind of pictures that can make it a little bit more interactive for kids. And I honestly tried not to rely on worksheets so much, just because I think it can be a turnoff for some clients, especially the younger kids who might be in school all day and then they're coming to see you and they're getting more kind of worksheets. So I tried to turn like some of the worksheets into games, but I really did like this workbook. It had a lot of good ideas that I would still use if I was working with younger kids still. Next, another worksheet kind of book, but creative interventions for challenging children and adolescents. So this was really helpful when working with both kids and their parents. So there's parent worksheets and child worksheets. So you can be working on building the same skills with the parent and the child. So one of the ones that I really, really like is helping challenge those kind of power struggles that some parents deal with. So one of the worksheets that I used was creating rules that make sense. So really working with the child to help them understand, okay, what do you think are appropriate rules, realistic rules that are obviously going to keep you safe, but, can help meet your parents kind of halfway. But I also ask parents questions like, why do you think your kids won't listen? Why do you think they break your rules? Why do you think you view them as disrespectful? Why do you think they're so angry? And it kind of reframed those questions. So instead of asking those, it would be like, what are you asking them to do that they are choosing to ignore? What is the purpose of the rules you've created? Or how do you deal with the disrespect? Or turning it on yourself, why are you so angry? So I really, really liked the power struggle worksheets in this book, and it explores kind of taking a gentle path. I feel like this book came out before gentle parenting was like trendy and more popular, but it really does take some of those same, I guess, principles and ideas and makes it easier for parents to understand, or it made it easier for me to understand as an outside person, somebody who's not a parent. So this honestly one of my more favorite ones for children and adolescents when you're really doing some of that family work and finding creative ways to help parents and kids get on the same page. Next, I also like this one. CBT Toolbox for depressed, anxious, and suicidal children and adolescents. A lot of the younger adolescents, teens that I worked with, and still some that I work with, struggle with those suicidal thoughts, those self-harming behaviors, those very anxious feelings. And I found this to be helpful when I was just starting out and I was feeling kind of stuck with working with them while they worked through some of those really big feelings. So this has over 220 worksheets to help build positive coping skills and resiliency. This also used the SUD scale, so the subjective units of distress, and I really like that because it helps kids, and not even just kids, but adults, to really visualize and rate the intensity of the feelings that they're experiencing. So this had a worksheet, but it also has like tips for therapists, and that can be helpful if you're kind of looking at a worksheet but not exactly sure how to incorporate it. So that was kind of helpful for me. So this also has things of like behavior monitoring, sheets and worksheets, but it has a lot of really great tools. Okay, switch it up from one that's not worksheets. I also liked to incorporate a lot of coloring books with some of the kids that I worked with, and even the adults, because people like coloring. It can be very relaxing. It can be something to do when you're feeling anxious, stressed out, something to do with your hands. And a lot of times when I was seeing kids, either as a therapist or a case manager, they always said one of their coping skills was to draw or color. So this was kind of used for me as like something to break the ice, kind of like an intro type of activity, or even just something that they can do while we're talking. So like I know a lot of people use Uno. That is really popular when working with kids, teens, adolescents. Everybody uses Uno, and it's really great in kind of building that rapport, introducing games. You can turn it into something that's really therapeutic, because sometimes the kids that we see, they need something other than just talking, and meeting them where they're at is really important. And if I'm meeting them where they're at with just coloring with them, then that's where I'm going to start. Okay. Okay. So this is one that I haven't used a whole lot yet, but I have heard really good things about it. It's Corey helps kids cope with sexual abuse. It's playful activities for traumatized children. So the reviews for this were really good, but always it depends on the kids that you're working with. And after I kind of looked through it a little bit more, the format of this and kind of how it's structured doesn't really work for the clients that I was going to use it for. But the whole idea is that the character in this book, Corey, was sexually abused. He's seeing a therapist, and the activities that therapist does with Corey, you do with your clients. And you guys kind of read the book together and process the same thing that Corey's processing. And it can be helpful for some kids, obviously, like them being able to see that other children, other kids have experienced similar things to them can be helpful. But just like I said, the format for this didn't end up working for me and the client that I was going to use it for. But I do think the tools and the skills and the questions and things like that are helpful when working with kids who have been sexually abused. Okay, next. This one is similar to, don't remember which one because I've showed like 5, but it's CBT Strategies for Anxious and Depressed Children and Adolescents, a clinician's toolbook. So again, a lot more worksheets. These worksheets though are in color, so none of the other ones were in color, but it's a lot similar. So they have thought records, thinking traps or unhelpful thinking patterns, recognizing if your mind is going into a downward spiral or an upward spiral. Again, this book also helpful. It's similar to some of the other ones. Luckily for me, I did not buy this. I found it at work and decided to keep it. So yeah. Another one I got from work is more DBT focused. So it's focusing on emotion regulation skills for cognitively challenged clients. But truthfully, I think it can be used even for non-cognitively challenged clients because of the skills that are being taught, and because DBT is so widely used for different populations, it can be helpful for a lot of adolescents or children. Okay, so those are like intervention style books. The next ones are a little bit different. They're more information based. So, well, no, not yet. Okay, so this one I got it for me, but I use it for my clients too. It's Do One Thing Every Day That Centers You. This I really use as like a mindfulness activity, grounding exercise type thing in the beginning of sessions. I think that can be really helpful to help clients just, get grounded into the session. People come from busy, hectic lives, and it can take a minute for them to settle down and be in a place where they're ready to get into whatever it is that they're working on or working through in therapy. So this, very cheap, got it from Marshall's. Like it. I'm always looking for stuff. So it's a problem sometimes because I end up buying a lot of things. But this one I actually got from work. I Hate You, Don't Leave Me, Understanding the Borderline Personality. This is helpful not just for clinicians, for people who have been diagnosed with BPD, for somebody who is living with somebody with BPD. It really helps you understand what's going on in their mind sometimes, why they might react the way that they do, how you can alter your responses. And it really just gives a lot of information on understanding what may have led somebody to have the reactions that they do and what BPD is. So just quick thing on the back says there are an estimated 18 million sufferers of BPD living in America today, each displaying remarkably similar symptoms: a shaky sense of identity, sudden outbursts of anger, oversensitivity to real or imagined rejection, brief, turbulent love affairs, intense feelings of emptiness, eating disorders, drug abuse, or other self-destructive tendencies, an irrational fear of abandonment, and an inability to be alone. This book was great and very informative, so I definitely recommend it if you have BPD, if you're working with somebody with BPD, or if you just want to learn more about it in general. Okay, another book that I don't have anymore because I gave it away was The Body Keeps the Score. That one I recommend it for everybody who has experienced trauma, who wants to better understand how trauma affects the brain, how trauma affects the body, and just the overall impacts of traumatic events. That book, 10 out of 10. I liked it. It was really good. Okay, one more book, and then I'm going to go into online resources that have all been free or that I use for free. This one, I haven't finished it yet, is called You Happier. It goes into, really focuses on the brain, how your brain chemistry, your brain structure, or the type of brain that you have impacts your mental health, how you can make choices that are good for your brain or bad for your brain. So far, it's really interesting. I took the quiz to see what my brain type is. I haven't actually read the results yet, so maybe I'll read that. Obviously, I'm going to read it because I took the quiz. But I think it's really empowering people to kind of take more ownership of their brain and not automatically say, this is just the way that my brain is. This is my brain chemistry. I have no power to change it. Because we are in control of a lot of the things that we do, and all of the choices that we make during the day can have some potential impact on the way that our brain is functioning. And, obviously our brain, the way that our brain functions impacts our mental health and our overall quality of life. So I am really excited to finish this book and look more into the neurosciences of mental health, because I think that's an area that is often overlooked. I think a lot of times we treat the symptoms instead of the problem. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because I haven't finished the book. But so far it is very interesting, and I do see myself getting more interested into this side of mental health. Okay, so those are the book resources that I've used so far. And obviously there's more, but maybe I'll list them or link them or post pictures of them or something, I don't know. But for the online resources, I really encourage every therapist to join like some kind of therapist Facebook group. I'm on a few, like for telehealth therapists and just therapists in general. They post resources. You can get feedback on challenging situations, ask for different intervention styles, while obviously respecting HIPAA and not giving out any confidential information. But, it's good to talk to colleagues about challenging cases, frustrating situations, wins or positive scenarios. Having that ability to talk to other counselors is really helpful, especially to me, since I do work telehealth, so I don't actually get to see coworkers or anything. It can be kind of helpful to, have that kind of community. So Facebook groups, very helpful. I also use Therapist Aid. Luckily, I'm able to use the paid version for free with my job. So they have a lot of worksheets, a lot of interactive tools and guides. So Therapist Aid is great. I also use Teachers Pay Teachers, but I only get the free worksheets because I don't want to pay for things all the time. But they also have really great worksheets, resources. Worksheetplace.com. A lot of really great worksheets or just ideas for activities that you can do. Pinterest is always amazing. I am always on Pinterest looking for different like art activities or just ideas in general that I can use with my clients, because you don't have to come up with everything on your own. Other people create these things and you can use them and tailor them to your clients however you see fit. There's also, I'm forgetting the name of the website, so I'm going to link it somewhere. But it has a lot of games that can be used on telehealth. So there's like an online Uno, there's checkers, there's Roblox, Fortnite, there's Sorry, Monopoly. Like there's all these games that can be played online. So the same way that you might play a game with a kid in your office, you can do that online as well. Most of them do work better if the client is using like a computer, like a laptop, and not their phone. But regardless, it's a lot of really good games that can be used, and that's been really helpful for me. There's also a DBT self-help kind of website that I give to some of my clients who are interested in learning more about DBT, and who like to do things kind of on their own, whether it's like reading, worksheets, journaling. So that website is really helpful. Some people have said Hub for Helpers. That one wasn't too great for me, so I don't use that. I just didn't find a lot of helpful things. Yeah, so those are most of the resources that I use, the books, the websites, and they're all pretty helpful for the most part. If I can think of any other ones, I might like link them somewhere or just put them in the description box. But for now, that is all that I pretty much have. So if you have like any questions about any of the books or where to find them, you can leave that in the comments. Or if you have like resources that you use or that you found helpful, leave those too, because there's always more resources out there. There's so much information, it can be really hard to find it. So feel free to share it. But for now, that is all that I have. So I will see you all next time.